I think with the behavior and thinking about behavior, there's, I think, a need to talk about this idea of the function of behavior. And we're going to be talking a lot about this in our series and certainly later today as Alexis shares her case. But the essence of function of behavior really is the idea that behavior means something. Behavior is communication, right? And behind a behavior, there is a feeling or a need or a cause. Behavior doesn't just come from nowhere, right? And this is one of the things that I think has really prompted people to try to better understand not just all classroom behaviors that maybe are challenging or disruptive, but especially behaviors that might be associated with trauma. Because a lot of times when there is a trauma piece with a behavior, often that's when we see really unpredictable, strange, inconsistent behaviors that really stand out as just not making a whole lot of sense to us in the moment. And so when we think about behaviors and really what is the function of the behavior or what is the behavior seeking, and then we can think about it in that way, that opens up all kinds of different opportunities, because then we have an opportunity to support a young person or even another adult in meeting that need in a different way or responding to that feeling in a different way. And so again, that the behavior is telling us something. And so, yeah, behaviors that is a behavior that gives us, maybe leads us to have lots of feelings, is disrupting, all very true. But what is the behavior saying? What does it need? What does it want? And what is it getting? Because if it's continuing or it's increasing, it's getting something. It's getting attention, or it's getting a need met, or escaping. And when we talk about functions of behavior, that's really what we mean. And so if we go to the next slide, one of the ways that sometimes people talk about this is everyone eats, so EATS, and the idea that all of our behaviors are, composed of one or more of these functions of behaviors. So the behavior is either wanting to escape, it's wanting attention, it's wanting something tangible, or it's wanting something sensory related. And so this is saying that all of our behaviors, all of ours, even ours, that they have a function, they're seeking something. And so if we can understand that behavior, that can help in terms of expanding our toolbox so that we have more strategies to respond. I also think that through a trauma responsive lens, and this all fits together really nicely, is this idea that when there is a behavior or when a young friend is having a really hard time, it's easy for us to personalize it, that they are giving us a hard time. And in reality, it may be hard for us. And I'm not trying to invalidate or diminish anybody's feelings or responses to how difficult it can be when someone else has a really big behavior. I think what's important to remember is that young friend is having a hard time. They're probably not giving you anything. They're probably really seeking something from you. It's just trying to figure out what they're seeking and how to get it to them in a way that behavior can actually then decrease or shift to something different. So the next slide, I just have this. You all can look at this later. I know there's a lot.
Melissa, I wanted to ask really quickly. There was one question about the functions. I've seen a lot of people claiming control as a function, although I've never seen it listed. What do you feel about that?
Yeah, that's a great question. And Alexis, I'd invite you you have a smile on your face. So I feel like maybe you have a ready response for this one. I think, can I put you on the spot, Alexis, or do you want me to?
Well, as a fellow school psych, I also had taken note to that when I saw eats left out control. But every time I have been in a problem solving session where control has come up as the function of behavior, I don't love that, just because I feel like we lean on that a lot, and it really narrows down where we're focusing and doesn't leave a lot of room for all of the other functions. Kind of puts it on the kids. So I don't know, that's my experience with that function of control being part of the narrative and conversation and problem solving.
Yeah, thank you, Alexis. I appreciate you hopping in there, and I agree wholeheartedly. I think, to me, step one is starting to talk about functions of behavior, right? And so whatever anybody brings to the table, let's have a conversation. Whatever anybody says they think the function of behavior is. I think that control is one that I hear a lot more now. It used to be almost always attention. So attention-seeking behaviors, and there's a lot of conversation about attention. Sometimes there's a shift to a real focus on sensory almost exclusively. But I think the trick and kind of the magic of functions of behaviors is to to try to figure out how it can connect into these 4 different areas. And again, as Alexis was pointing out, we can't force anybody to do anything. I can't make a kid or make a child change their behavior. I can't make you change your behavior. And so understanding the function, I think, and trying to really shift it to what can I as the adult, what can we as the adults kind of change in the context, is really helpful. I think that control can be a good starting place for a conversation, but I would probably in conversation try to encourage further elaboration to figure out control of what, control of, and why. Like what is going to happen? Are they avoiding? Are they controlling the situation so they can avoid this hard feeling? Are they controlling the situation so they can get out of something? There's avoidance, right? Are they controlling it so they can get something tangible? And so those kinds of pieces, I don't think that as humans, the vast majority of us have a function. I don't think control is a function of behavior ultimately. I think there's something else beyond that, even if it looks a whole lot like control. I think as adult humans, and I'll use my I voice here, I think I often control things because I'm really nervous or I'm afraid. And so when I go to that feeling, afraid of what? I'm afraid that I'm going to lose something. I'm afraid that someone, like I'm afraid that I'm not going to be able to get out of this, something like that. I'm afraid I'm going to get negative attention. And so kind of thinking about it in that frame. But thank you for that question.